Oh, okay. There's one thing I didn't tell you, the one thing in my favor. Nannery. They had stripped me of weapons, but what they didn't find were my nanomites stored in 2 of my molars. Once I pried the caps off my teeth and unscrewed the capsules inside, all I had to do was set them loose. They're microscopic. There's millions of these nanomites. They're like termites. They'll destroy your house in an hour and then reconstruct something else out of the debris. But that's the thing about nanomites. You don't know what they're going to do, unless you can point them in a direction and let them at it. One capsule was weaponry. The nanos were programmed to build what they could out of the material at hand, and the other was conveyance, building a vehicle, a means of transportation. The question was how to direct them. I remembered the brick I dropped on one of the bio balls. I found the brick, tied the capsule to it, and waited on the balcony. When the ball came rolling by, the brick slipped, down it went, bang, off the ball, scattering nanomites all over it. They wouldn't eat the thing, they wouldn't attack a living creature, but they did know who was the foe. The other capsule I carried to the edge of the desert. I poured them out onto the hot sand, God knows what they thought of that, and then I went back to my hammock and took a nap. I was awakened a couple hours later when a building collapsed. That was a good sign. I went back to sleep. About an hour after that, another one went. Another nap, another hour, and... they certainly were busy little nanos. I dozed off for a while. And then was awakened by a noise. I sat up, looked around. My translator was missing. I didn't notice those cracks before. There were creaks and groans, or maybe it was me groaning. Oh no! I rolled out of my hammock and started for the steps, but they collapsed. I figured I'd better leap off the balcony, but that went next. Then the wall went. Down below, the bio balls were rolling around, going crazy. It was tempting to use one of them for a cushion, but the bounce might send me back into the building. Oh well, it was only the 2nd floor, so I jumped. And just as my feet left the floor, the building went. I dusted myself off and looked around. Well, the nanomites hadn't totally destroyed the town, at least. Not yet. I noticed that the pile of rusted machinery had vanished. I don't know who got that, whether it was the weaponry mites or the vehicle mites. In case you're wondering, these nanomites do have a designated lifespan. They'll run amok for about 48 hours and then, that's it, they're pooped. The destruction had stopped. The construction had begun. I couldn't tell if it was a weapon or a vehicle being built. It was a fine wire mesh. Maybe they were weaving an anti-gravity flying carpet. Yeah, right. Dream on, Ruby. On the other side of town, the B team were building a flimsy, gauzy thing. Looked like something I could wear, except kept getting bigger. Well, the bio balls weren't stupid. They didn't like what was going on, and they started bouncing off whatever was being built. That slowed the nanomites down. In fact, they stopped altogether. Work ceased. And since nothing was completed, there wasn't a thing I could use.
By morning, they'd located the dune where Kapoor had landed and disappeared into the soft sand. They shoveled about until finally...
Ow! That sounds like his helmet. Try it again. Ow! Is that you, Kapoor? Right.
Ow!
There's his tail. Okay, out you come. That was a nice trajectory, Kapoor. Mouthful of sand all over my face. Hey.
The nanomites started in again. It took a while for me to realize what they were doing. reinforcing. When the balls attacked, the nano accessed their strength and revised their estimates. The attack was the balls' undoing. It was a net the nanos had built. Or some of them. The others had constructed towers. And when the two balls got together and once again were bouncing on the net, up they went, snared by the net, suspended in the air. There was no rolling out of that one. Now, what the vehicle gang had put together was absolutely ingenious. It was a butterfly. It had wings 2 stories high. The wings were spun out of a glassy substance, spun out of sand for all I know. It looked like a breath would send it tumbling. It was so wispy and delicate, there was no way to get me off the ground. But it was pretty. There was an open cockpit with a set of pedals. Oh well, pedaling was better than walking on hot sand. Even though the wings resembled a butterfly, they were puffy wings. The nanos figured that the heat trapped inside would lighten the load. But the load was me. And that was the problem. How could a nano know my weight? Well, after having seen how they altered their design when the balls attacked their net, I figured if I climbed into the cockpit, sat down, worked the pedals, and then stepped out... Yeah, sure enough, work stopped. They were recalculating my weight. Or so I thought. But as time ticked away, I realized their 48 hours were up. They had stopped permanently.
Ruby 6, the Illusionati. Angel the android took over Ruby's role as night after night she performed the death-defying Angel of Light versus the Dark Angel of Doom. And now, Part 6, The Revenge of the Cream Puff.
But Angel had changed. It was because she had replaced Ruby and now she was the star of the show? Had her android ego taken over? No, there was something else. She was always absolutely honest, but now she was lying through every one of her perfectly perforated plastic teeth. So I asked Andor.
I think she's just wonderful.
He was in love. What did he know? I may have gotten to the bottom of it, if the bottom hadn't fallen out.
It was the night of Angel's last performance on this planet, or on any planet. No one knew it would be her last performance. That is, no one but the one who removed the fail-safe from the Angel of Doom.
And finally, we are so proud to present the amazing Battle of Angels.
It was the usual routine. The Angel of Doom spat fireballs at Angel as she dodged and scored points on her little diskette, soaring through the air high above the crowd. There was the tongue that lashed out and wrapped around the disc and drew her into its massive mouth. It was all part of the routine.
Oh no! The tongue! The black tongue of death has our Angel of Light in its grip! Will she be able to escape the grinding teeth, the great chopping jaws of impending doom? Will she be able...
Angel screamed. She was caught in the great jaws that smashed down on her slim, blithe, plastic Barbie body, mashing into a pathetic pulp as it chomped on her over and over and over, and chomp, chomp, chomp. Oh.
Andor ran to the control panel and cut the power as the jaws opened wide for its final coup de crunch. It was Kapoor who reached her first, scampering up the guy wires to the brooding, steaming Angel of Doom high above the stunned crowd of Illusions.
Oh, Angel, you're so... Oh!
I know. I'm dying, Rodan.
No! Androids don't die!
But we do.
Andor will fix you. He can fix anything, even something that's been so squashed and mangled and mutilated and... Oh!
I tried to protect you, Rodan.
Me? From what?
From Cream Puff.
Oh yeah, Cream Puff the Clown.
The first time I dropped a coin.
It was you who dropped the shiny coin from the top of the big top, and when I bent down to pick it up, an exploding custard pie passed over instead of taking my head off?
It was me, Rodan.
And it was you who snatched my bulbous nose and threw it away just before it was set to explode and take my head off again?
It was me.
And it was you who adjusted the cannon so I didn't get spotted against the steel wall, but instead was fired to the side of the big top and way across the desert where I landed headfirst into a dune?
It was me.
Are you my guardian angel?
I was.
But why?
Because it should have been you and me, Rodan.
You and me? Doing what?
Being together, holding hands, making love.
Making... But why didn't you tell me?
Because I knew if I showed my affection, Cream Puff would try and kill you.
But Cream Puff was trying to kill me!
You are a born clown. He was jealous. You got the laughs, he got the guffaws. And he knew I loved you.
But Andor, he loves you.
I know, but I've always been attracted to a man of character.
I'm not a man. I'm a little rat.
That's what gives you character.
Oh, I never thought of that.
I'm expiring now, Rodan.
No, Andor will fix you. Andor can fix anything.
Not this time.
But.
I have a virus that has been eating away at me.
No!
It was Cream Puff. He was the one who put a virus in their media.
You mean the theater Nacree?
Yes. And one last thing.
Oh?
1,317 Ru-Pu Poo-Few.
Come again?
I know what happened to Ruby. She...
Suddenly, the massive metal jaws of the Angel of Doom came crashing down, pulverizing the twisted wreckage of the Barbie android once known as her sweet angelness.
Oh!
But out of the corner of his beady little eye, Kapoor saw a shadow darting away from the control panel far below. Too far away to make out who it is, but he recognized that joyful hop, skip, and a jump.
Angel? Oh no!
Crushed by the cast iron jaws of Mr. Doom.
My poor sweet angel.
I thought you had a failsafe on this big mouth.
I did. I don't understand how this could happen.
Sabotage.
Sabotage? But who would want to kill sweet angel?
The same person who was trying to kill sweet me.
And who is that, Kapoor? Kapoor! Wait! Come back, Kapoor! Did you see the way his tail was twitching? I think he's on to something.
Oh, Angel, look at you. You're so flat.
Well, I guess it's so long. Angel baby. I kissed what may have been her cheek and left as Andor cradled and rocked her pulverized plastic parts. I looked back over my shoulder. He was gathering up a hand here, a kneecap there, placing them gently into a plastic garbage can. Plastic to plastic. That's the way androids go. Yeah, I recall the good times Sweet Angel and I had before she left me. I remember the night we rode out on the Crystal Canal in the cloistered cities of Kumbh-Lor, on the planet known as Fatso 4. Angel did the rowing. I sat back, my hand trailing in the water.
Angel did the rowing. I sat back, my tail trailing in the water as she smiled and said,
You know, Rodan, honey, you are the only one I've ever loved.
But you loved others.
I know. But out of all the thousands and thousands of lovers, you are the only one.
Thousands?
Is that a problem?
But isn't this my daydream? Isn't the world supposed to revolve around me? Whose daydream is this?
It's mine, Buster.
Oh! Cream Puff!
Yeah, and I got the property rights on all those angel daydreams.
You don't own the rights.
See this fist? Now you want me to show you my trademark? And don't let me catch you infringing again, rodent.
Okay.
But it was all an act on Kapoor's part.
My whole life is an act.
Kapoor acted quickly. Cream Puff the clown continued on to his dressing room. He locked the door and immediately began to fill a small speak bubble with words.
This is Agent Puff. The deed has indeed been done. The final finis. What a joyous day! That is all.
The clown inserts the inflated speak bubble into the pneumatic tube and away it goes. Who will retrieve it at the other end? At this point, we don't know either.
I will squash you, Mr. Puffy.
But meanwhile, somewhere out across the rolling dunes and rock-spewn landscape of this desert planet, far away from the capital city of Big Bassoon, there's Ruby, the Galactic Gumshoe.
This flying machine the nanomites had built was the flimsiest looking thing I'd ever seen. One puff of wind and we'd go tumbling. Or so it appeared. I don't know what they made it out of. It was like they went in and rearranged the molecules and came up with a synthetic fiber that could withstand a hurricane. My weight was not a problem. The nanomites had been designed specifically for me, and they knew my weight all along. So I took the few supplies I could. Every ounce I added meant I'd be flying a few feet closer to the ground. The desert sun would inflate the wings, but it would also bake me to a crisp. I waited until sunset, climbed into the cockpit, and started pedaling. It was an amazing set of tiny gears they'd designed. The pedaling was easy and the wings flapped like a butterfly. It was elegant, it was beautiful, and it lifted me off the ground. But where was I headed? Deeper into the desert? It's not that big a planet. If I had 4 or 5 years, I could probably pedal around it. I pedaled through the night. As the dawn came, I could see sand, rocks, and dunes that stretched on forever. As the sun rose higher, so did the temperature. The wings provided a nice breeze, but no shade. They were transparent. I was beginning to droop. I settled down near a boulder. There was enough shade to curl up in and catch some sleep. Every now and then I'd wake up feeling like I was sleeping in a frying pan, and I was, because the sun had shifted. I crawled back into the shade. When the sun began to set, I dragged myself back into the cockpit and tried pedaling. Pain was firing lightning bolts at every muscle that was trying to move. I finally got loose enough to rise off the ground, and I was on my way, but to where? I was navigating by stars I didn't even know.
Angel told you she had a virus?
Yes.
So that's why she left me.
No.
Oh. Is that why she lied to me?
Yes. She was working for Cream Puff.
Who's that?
A clown.
Oh, the puffy one. What about him?
He's been trying to kill me.
What else?
He slipped Angel the virus and got her to do his evil biddings.
That little rat.
Could you please not call him that?
Oh, sorry. No offense, Kapoor.
What about Weasel?
Fine. So what proof do we have?
None. But I saw him inflate a speak bubble.
Did you overhear what he put in it?
Yes, and I think he sent it to a fellow conspirator.
Exactly what words did he put into the bubble, Kapoor?
He said, "This is Agent Puff. The deed has indeed been done. The final finis was a joyous day. Ha ha ha. That is all."
The deed? He meant the death of Angel?
Yes.
That rat! Sorry, Weasel. But we need hard evidence to hang him by his bulbous nose.
I'll shadow him. I'll become the Ninja Kapoor.
Watch yourself. He sounds like a formidable foe, this Mr. Puffy.
One more thing.
Yeah?
1,317 Ru-Pu Pu-Pu.
What was that?
Those were Angel's last words. Except she started to say something about Ruby, but then crunch!
1,317 Ru-Pu-Pu. Sounds to me like the street of many stinks. There was someone I trusted. I don't know why I trusted him. Maybe it was because Ruby trusted him, or maybe it was because he was a person who could be trusted. He's Boom Boom Bassoon. He's a media mogul here on Alubu-Wa, where they don't believe in competing, but in cooperating. I know, it sounds like a backward way to run a modern society. But what can I say? On Alubu-Wa, it works.
1,317 Ru-Pu-Pu?
That's the number.
It's on the edge of the city.
Must be in a smelly part of town.
At one time, there was a gasworks. Now it's empty warehouses.
Those were the last words uttered by Angel just before she was crushed between the jaws of the Angel of Doom.
Are you referring to the android that replaced Ruby?
That's her. It was her. Plastic to plastic.
What was that?
Nothing, just a little reverie, yeah. So where exactly is Ru-Pu-Pu?
Ha-ha! We'll fly there in my customized zooped-up Zephyr.
Boom Boom's zooped-up Zephyr was a 2-seater electric dirigible. It had a pair of cross-current propellers operated by a double set of pedals.
You mean I have to pedal?
Exercise, Teru!
I hate exercise.
As they pedaled out across the top of the town, Teru thought about Sufu. He thought about what it might be like making a home here among the pointed-headed Ilubus. He thought about having children. Would they too have pointed heads? Or what shape would they turn out to be?
As you can see, there's little activity here, mainly just abandoned warehouses.
Yes, it does appear the desert is sifting back in again.
Now, over there, that should be 1,317.
Oh yeah, big oval warehouse.
I'm setting us down.
Boom pulled on the deflate valve, and they dropped like a dead turkey, spinning around and flapping down. And then, just before they smashed against the ground, Boom brought the Zephyr to a sudden hover and set them down with a gentle bounce.
Yeah. Whew.
Boom climbed out and walked away from Teru and the Zephyr.
What are you looking for over there?
I saw it from the air. It's a single track, as though something rolled through the sand to the road. And then it fades out on the hard surface.
Oh, yeah?
Fairly recent, too.
Well, let's see what's inside. There's nothing in here. It's empty.
Do you notice something?
What?
There's no dust.
Wait a second. You see these black marks on the wall? If I'm not mistaken, they were made by a Smith Hitachi Godzilla blunderbuss blaster.
Are you sure?
Yeah, and this blaster was custom made for Ruby.
Look at this. What do you make of it?
Looks like a slice of dried flesh.
Ruby's?
Maybe.
Here's a bigger slice.
Let's see. It's not human. It's some sort of gooey, doughy syntho flesh. If I'm not mistaken, what you hold here is a jellious scob of bioglop.
This warehouse was being used as a factory, but all the equipment has been removed.
What is this strange odor? It's a combination of blaster residue and these bio-stinkies and something I can't identify.
The Nakri.
The Nakri has a smell?
Is extremely subtle, barely detectable. But here, there's a concentration of some kind of synthetic Nakri.
Yeah? Well, I'll take these pieces of icky goo and have them analyzed. I think we finally found a clue.
Now let's look in on Ruby, who has been trying to cross the desert by pedaling a flying machine that looks like a giant butterfly. But the problem is, the whole planet is a desert.
3 days had passed. My supplies had run out. My butterfly was looking just fine, but I wasn't. Skin was peeling off my lips, my eyelids were swollen almost shut. The rest of my exposed body looked like I'd been marinated in beet juice, and my muscles were screaming, "Enough already!" I was able to find an occasional boulder to cast a shadow during the day, but on day 3, when the sun descended and darkness came, I didn't move. The night passed. I lay on my back, looking up at the stars through the little slits of my eyelids. I'd pass in and out of sleep. I had a dream. I could hear the ocean. There was a row of towers, and at the top of each was some sort of giant, puffy lily pad. I was holding onto a rope, climbing one of the towers. Holding the other end of the rope, perched on an oval pad, looking a little like a praying mantis, was a robot. As I climbed closer and looked into its eyes, I realized they weren't robotic eyes. They were the eyes of an Ilubu, and for some reason, I said, "Why aren't you out exploring space?"
We are exploring space.
You don't have any spaceships.
We do not need a ship to explore space.
What do you have? Telescope?
When humans explore space, they are looking for objects, asteroids, comets, planets, stars, other life forms. But we explore space.
I don't follow.
When you are in a room, you look at the furniture, the floor, the walls, the pictures, the books. But we look at the space.
You gotta be kidding.
No,
Okay, you're looking at space, so what do you see?
nothing.
Well, why look when you know nothing is there?
But there is. There is space.
Yeah, but what's in it?
Emptiness, silence, stillness, peace. That is what we find when we explore space.
Huh. When I woke up, it was pitch black. I couldn't move a muscle. I kept trying, but I couldn't move because I was strapped down. They had me again.
Teru has received an invitation to dine with Lord and Lady Boom Bassoon at the elegant Starlight Starbright.
So you know about the virus that was put in your theater, Nakri?
Your techies showed it to me.
Who put it in there?
I have no idea.
You're the media mogul, you should know.
I wish I did.
Professor Teru,
Yes, Lady Boom Bassoon?
certainly you're not questioning the integrity of my husband.
No, I'm not.
Then what are you inferring?
Maybe I'm inferring that we should all put our cards on the table.
Are we playing cards?
No, but we could play truth or consequences.
And how will we know if you are telling the truth?
Me? No problem. Now, what I'd like to know is...
Are we
you
members of the Illusionati?
Oh. Well, are you?
No.
And you, Boom?
No.
All right. Does a secret society called the Illusionati exist?
Of course.
And are they as evil as Oop Boop contends?
Not at all.
What are they up to?
It depends on you.
What?
What are you up to, Teru?
Me? I'm trying to find Ruby.
That isn't why you came to Ilubu Roi.
No, we came to perform in the circus.
But you are not performing in the circus.
No, I'm a scholar, a punmeister. Is there something funny?
Is that the only reason, Professor?
No. Invitations to this planet are extremely rare, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity to see from my... You don't believe that either?
Do you believe it?
Well, if I were me, no.
Are you not you?
Sometimes.
When?
Right now.
I believe my lady is suggesting, if we are honest with you, will you reciprocate?
Reciprocate? Yes. When back to the wall, I can be quite reciprocal.
You are here to find the Illusionati, are you not?
Well, I wouldn't exactly say...
Honesty, Professor.
All right, yeah, it's true. Yes. Happy?
Quite.
All right. Now, you tell me, what is the Illusionati? What? Silence?
There's honesty in silence.
Yeah.
I woke up again. It was still dark, or I thought it was. Something was being poured in my eyes. I blinked. I was surprised the blink muscles could still move. Little high-pitched, fuzzy, pear-shaped voices waddled into my ear. I heard a voice say, "Where am I?" They had no idea what I'd said. I didn't have a translator. The nanomites had eaten it. It was now a part of my butterfly. We couldn't understand each other, but gestures can get you pretty far. They untied me. I'd been delirious. One of the little pear kitties started pointing and bouncing up and down. She knew who I was. The family had been to the digital circus. They'd seen me perform. They even knew I'd been missing. I was patched up. They massaged me with salves that soothed my muscles, my skin. They had some great desert cures. If this had been any other planet, their herbs would be snatched up, synthesized, and patented by some pharmaceutical giant, and then to top it off, they'd make sure it was illegal to use the natural stuff. But this was Illusionati, where they still have a hell of a lot more freedom. It was then that I vowed to beat the Illusionati. I didn't care what it took. After a couple of days, they carried me out to my butterfly, strapped me back in the cockpit, pointed that away, and the butterfly and I rose up into the desert dusk.
Ruby 6, The Illusionati. As we look in, we see the archaeologist T.J. Theroux sitting alone there at the digital circus on the planet of Illusionati. He's been thinking about the many strange things he's seen on this desert planet. Not just the pointed-headed, pear-shaped Illubus, or their oval oblong organic architecture, or their means of communication using speak bubbles that travel through pneumatic tubes, or their buses shaped like wieners and when linked together look like a string of chorizos but without wheels, just centipedial feet that can scurry down the street or up and over a sand dune.
Is that what I was thinking?
And now, the thrilling conclusion of Ruby 6, The Illusionati.
So, Ruby was missing. Where she was, or even if she still was a mystery. I began to ponder this when a speak bubble popped out of the tube. I picked it up by its little tail and squeezed out the message. It was from Ambassador Woogie.
I've been informed that there's a man, his name is Yami Yazun, who claims he saw Ruby board a sand ship and head out across the desert. He believes she may be sailing to the kingdom of far-flung Farouk.
Far-flung Farouk, eh? I blew up a speak bubble. Dear Ambassador Woogie, I would like to question this Yummy Yazum. I pushed the bubble into the pneumatic tube. A moment later, another speak bubble plopped out into my hand. I squeezed out that message.
I have been informed that you will find Yummy Yazum down at the dune docks. He is a porta-pucker.
A porta-pucker, eh? All right.
Theroux immediately headed off for the dune docks. It was growing dark as he found himself on the edge of the city where the waves of rolling sand lapped against the barricades.
As far as the eye could see, it was all Dunesville out there.
There were desert caravans with tall, six-legged beasts of burdens the Illubu treated with great affection. These animals are adorned with ribbons, trinkets, and tiny bells that tinkle as their webbed flat feet plod through the cool night sands of Illubuwa.
There are docks where ships unload and take on cargo. There are sail ships that skim across the surface, buoyed up by a sort of helium. It's a gentle technology of solar cells, wind, and their own innate buoyancy.
But for heavier cargo, there's the caravans and the gentle beasts of burden. These, along with the sand ships, comprise what we would call the waterfront. Only there is no water, so it's called the dune docks.
And that's where I found myself, out on the dune docks. I asked around, having to constantly reset my translator for their wide range of desert dialects until I was pointed to Yummy Yazoom. The other Alubus seemed wary of this fellow. I assumed it must be his rank, Portapucker. Mr. Yummy Yazoom, I presume.
Yeah?
Ambassador Woogie sent me.
Ah, Pulape Poopa.
Poopa, this footstool, so I can sit lower than you?
Yeah, you ask about your friend, yeah?
Ruby, you saw her board a ship.
Yeah, the Feathered Fandango.
The Feathered Fandango. And that was headed for...
Far-flung Farouk.
I see. And when will the Feathered Fandango return?
6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
There's something in his Nakri he's hiding from me. I edged closer. But surely, Mr. Yummy, there must be other ships that sail to far-flung Farouk.
No, just the Feathered Fandango.
Which I knew wasn't true. Well, I placed a friendly hand on his shoulder and felt a slimy squirt of Nakri energy instantly wrap around my wrist and just as quickly go away. Well, I appreciate your help.
Yeah, sure. Anytime.
He was lying, I knew it. And he knew I knew it. I decided to leave the docks as quickly as possible.
It was dark now. There were no taxis in sight, but Taru knew his way back, or thought he did. As he walked along, he had the uneasy feeling that he was being followed by something large and round.
It was a big ball-like thing, and it was slowly creeping up on me. I began to walk faster.
But then he saw at the far end of the street an identical sphere rolling towards him.
I had the feeling this wasn't the normal traffic route for these rolling balls.
There was a side street up ahead.
No, actually it was an alleyway.
He made a dash for the alley, and the ball suddenly accelerated.
I ran down the dark alley and ran right into a wall. It was a cul-de-sac.
The balls had stopped at the end of the alley, blocking the only way out.
They kept bumping against each other like they were jostling each other, or maybe they were snickering, deciding who gets to roll over me first.
Taru felt along the wall, searching for anything, a door, a window.
An oval glass window pane. I cocked my arm, slammed my elbow against it. Ow!
The glass did not break.
God.
The balls slowly began to bounce down the alley, coming toward him.
I needed something hard to break that glass. The hardest thing I had was my head, so... Wait a minute. I remembered I was carrying my trusty .45.
He used the butt of his revolver to smash the window. He cleared away the shards and crawled in just as something soft and icky grabbed his foot.
Whoa! I yanked my foot free, leaving my shoe for it to suck on as I tumbled into the darkness. Whoa! Whoa!
Let us leave Taru there in the darkness while we check on Rodan Kapoor, who has been stealthily stalking Cream Puff the Clown.
Why did Oops Boop meet with Cream Puff? And who are those other Alubus he's been meeting? They all look pretty doughy to me.
You shouldn't jump to conclusions, Kapoor.
Maybe he's a spy, or maybe he's an assassin clown. 3 times he tried to kill me. First with an exploding custard pie, then he hid a bomb in my bulbous clown nose, and had I honked my nose once more, I would have been known as Kapoor the Headless Clown. And then, when I was being shot out of a cannon, he aimed it at the wall. I don't find this funny.
Well, it's like Taru said. If we're ever going to get anything to stick against Cream Puff, we need some hard proof.
I know, but he's so slippery.
I flicked on my ever-ready and flashed the beam around. It was an empty factory. Then I heard what sounded like a balloon rubbing against a stubby beard. It was a ball trying to push itself through the broken window. I whipped out my .45 and fired.
The slug sunk into the soft ball. It hissed and withdrew.
I figured I hadn't hurt it, but I hoped a bellyful of lead might give it a little indigestion.
So there he was, alone, trapped in an empty factory.
I figured I might as well look around, see if there was anything sharp I could poke these balls with.
But as he walked toward the far wall, lights suddenly flashed on. The factory wasn't empty. It was full of nude Ilubus. He staggered back. The lights were gone. The building was empty. He cautiously took a step forward. And again, a burst of light. And again, the factory was full of pudgy, faceless Ilubus with tubes running into them, feeding them.
Wow.
No, more than just feeding. Growing them.
I examined these nauseous beings. They weren't all faceless. They ranged from jellious globs to clammy flesh balls to fully formed pear-shaped Ilubus with distinctive fleshy features.
Taru reached out and touched the gumbo-like skin.
Yeah, this feels like some kind of bio-gook. The same kind of bio-gook Boom and I scraped off the walls of that abandoned warehouse.
And he thought about those big doughy balls waiting for him outside.
Were they grown from this same rubbery gum? What are they? Bouncing Gumbies?
Taru closely examined the rows of Ilubus in their various states of growth.
Some of these jellious globs look like they're ready to walk. Yeah, look at this one. It's the spitting image of Lord and Lady Boom Bazoom. But they're not quite finished. They're still growing Boom Boom's Dali-esque mustache. Huh. It's alive. And it's watching me. Someone's unlocking the door.
Professor Taru?
Ambassador Wookie?
Are you all right?
How did he know I was here?
We took care of the bad balls.
What does he mean, we?
Taru!
What?
It's me, Su-Fu.
Su-Fu? What are you doing here?
I heard you were in trouble.
From who? From Woogie?
We came as quickly as we could.
What about the balls out there?
Oh, they've been taken care of.
What is this place?
They're growing Ilubus in here.
Ooh, my.
Are you all right, Taruzis?
I'm okay, babe. I just stumbled on these doughy things.
What are they?
I don't know. Some kind of droids grown out of bioflesh.
Bioflesh?
Yeah, back on my planet we have slimies, biogenetically engineered assassins. Well, these babies are some sort of Ilubu slimy. Maybe a slimy boo.
They're disgusting.
I think they're being used to replace the real Ilubus. Look at this one here. It's fully grown, spitting image of my friend Boom Boom Bassoon. I swear his mustache is filled out in just the few minutes I've been here.
Boom Boom Bassoon is your friend?
He's one of the few people I trust on this planet. I mean, besides you, Su-Fu. And maybe Ambassador Woogie, wherever he is.
I find this most interesting, Professor.
Yeah, me too.
We will have to keep this a secret.
Oh, yeah?
We don't want to frighten the populace.
I see.
We will take care of this.
I'll bet you will.
We know what we are doing, Taru.
We?
We knew something like this was happening, but we didn't know where. And thanks to you, Professor Taru, we will be able to do
Who else
what
is this we? Some little piggies?
I beg your pardon.
Who are we?
Well, we are the Society.
The Illusionati?
If you must know, yes.
So you guys didn't grow these guys?
Of course not.
What are you going to do with the slimy boos?
We'll render them ineffective.
Yeah? How?
The usual manner.
Like the way you took care of the bouncing balls?
Let's leave this awful place, Taru.
Su-Fu, the love of my life, snuggled up to me. I wanted to spend the rest of my life hugging and snuggling her, but this last snuggle was one I'd rather forget.
What's wrong?
It's your Nakri, baby.
I don't understand.
It's fresh and scented.
So?
That scent is trying to cover up the fresh smell of bio-goo, baby.
No! Please, I'm not one of those things. I am Su-Fu!
I know Su-Fu's Nakri like the back of my knee. She'd never spray herself with synthetic odors. She's always allowed her natural smells to waft away as we made Where was I?
You were about to make a big mistake, Professor.
Yeah, I'll get to you next, Woog. Look, there's a Su-Fu, and then there's you. What are you, Su-Goo?
Oh, God, don't say that!
Where is the real Su-Fu?
She is gone.
Gone.
Gone. Forever.
Gone to the big forever?
Yes.
And you replaced her.
I love you.
Don't say that.
When they imprinted her Nakri in me, they transferred all her love. They transferred it to me!
Oh, yeah?
Don't leave me, Taruzis.
So they gave you tears, too, or is that some biomucilaginous simulation?
Don't, please.
You are breaking her heart.
She has a heart? By the way, where's the real ambassador?
I am Ambassador Woogie.
But not the original.
I am an exact copy.
Yeah, but you're Nacree.
But that too, Professor.
I felt your clammy Nacree as soon as you stepped through the door.
I'll have to look into that.
You do that. In the meantime, I'm out of here.
No, don't go out there!
Why, baby?
They're waiting for you!
Who, your roly-poly friends?
Leaving is not wise, Professor.
Stay out of my way. You know what this is?
A weapon?
Yeah, my trusty 45.
45 RPM?
Wrong speed, Woog.
That will not hurt me,
No,
Professor.
but I can leave you looking pretty holy.
I think it's time we called in our bouncing friends. Hans! Fritz! Roll in here.
Hans and Fritz, huh?
It's time the Professor was buffered.
No, don't!
What are they gonna do to me? Play bumper bull?
No.
What, swallow me?
Exactly.
Really?
Goodbye, Professor Taru.
Please!
The big bio-bullies came bouncing at me. I didn't know who to shoot first. Maybe it was Hans. The slug passed right through, but on the way out, it took a fistful of bio-gook with it. That slowed Hans down, but now Fritz was on me. I fired point blank. Boom, boom, boom. I jumped aside as Fritz bounced off the wall, spun around, came bouncing right back. It was Su Fu who saved my skin. She leaped in front of me. She stomped her 4 feet and shouted,
Stop it!
Su Fu put her arms around me. She held me tight. I knew it wasn't the real Su Fu, not my Su Fu, who smelled of the desert breeze with the midnight orchids in her hair. This was a synthetic Su Fu, a glob of bioflesh sculpted into this incredibly sexy Su Fu. Her Nacree had slipped all around me, had engulfed me. She was no desert Su Fu. She was a jungle goddess beneath the canopy. Hot, moist, humid, sultry. The heat had me in its sticky-fingered grip. I wanted her to swallow me. Totally. But no, I had to remember this was only a Su Fu-shaped bio-ball rubbing up against me, caressing me. Her Nacree devoured me, but oh God, it felt so good to be assimilated into her sensual juices. I started to breathe again. And with what little willpower I had left, I pushed her away from me. I staggered to the door. I could feel her Nacree still clutching, still reaching for me. I swung the door open, and there stood Boom Boom Bassoon.
Taru noticed he had a tank strapped on his back. He was clutching a nozzle in his hand. Apparently, he'd come prepared, and lucky for him, because the balls were on him in one bounce. There was a sudden burst of flame as Hans and Fritz ignited into great balls of fire. They howled, they hissed, they sizzled.
The smell wasn't bad. It sort of reminded me of synthetic barbecue.
Next, Boom looked at Ambassador Woogie.
Ambassador Woogie melted into Ambassador Gooey.
Su Fu ran towards Taru, her arms outstretched.
Boom, wait, don't! Yeah, I keep telling myself she was a faux foo, a slimy boo. She wasn't the real foo, so why can't I convince myself of all people, myself who was always believed that everything in this illusionary life is real? So, was she not real? Well, Boom Bassoon torched the place. The whole factory went up like fireworks. Boom, 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 boom. And now, if you don't mind, I'd like to make myself a stiff drink and go and sit in a dark corner and cry until my eyes fall out of their sockets. I've seen enough.
We'll tiptoe away quietly and leave T.J. Taru to his thoughts while we go visit Rodan Kapoor, who has, as you know, been shadowing Cream Puff the Clown. It's late at night as Kapoor slips into the clown room and hides just before Cream Puff enters. The clown room, by the way, is where all the circus clown's paraphernalia is stored. Cream Puff enters. He locks the door. He removes a limp speak bubble from the communication box and begins to inflate it with words.
Agent Buff reporting. The factory is now back online. Moving the factory has set the timetable back. This was not my fault. We expect to reach maximum production of doppelgangers within a week. Agent Puff, signing off.
Cream Puff picks up the inflated speak bubble by its tail. He walks over to the pneumatic tube. Kapoor realizes this is his opportunity to get hard evidence on Cream Puff. That is, if he can get that speak bubble before it disappears down the tube. Kapoor picks up an arm extender. It's a telescoping pole with a hand on the end. Cream Puff doesn't see Kapoor crouching there in the shadows, his long pole reaching out. Cream Puff releases the speak bubble. As it falls through the air, about to be swallowed by the tube, a mechanical hand darts out, grabs the bubble, and disappears.
What the heck?
The hand retracts, springing back to Kapoor. He slips the bubble into his pouch. He's about to hightail it out of there, but finds that he can't move. Something is standing on his tail.
You little rat!
Thank you. Now I must be going.
Give me back that bubble!
No, not by the hair of my chin.
We'll see about that!
Cream Puff picks up a gigantic baseball bat and brings it down right square atop Kapoor's head.
What
the? Obviously, it's a clown bat, filled with honking air. Cream Puff flings the bat away. Kapoor's tail is free at last. They both make a grab for the dueling whoopee cushions and began to mercilessly pound one another. Outside, passing by the clown room is TJ Taru, returning from the dune box. He hears the commotion and hurries over to investigate. Taru peers in through the window.
By the way it sounded, I thought I'd better find a gas mask. But no, it was a whoopee cushion fight. Two clowns evenly matched, Cream Puff short, big hairy chest and arms the size of thighs. But Kapoor, swift and agile. He thought he was, until Cream Puff grabbed a giant scimitar, swings the blade at Kapoor, who fails to duck in time, and Cream Puff slices off Kapoor's head. Or he would have if the blade hadn't been rubber. While he's looking for another weapon, Kapoor slips his hand into two giant lobster claws, goes snapping after Cream Puff. Kapoor has the upper hand, so to speak. Then Cream Puff, he's backed against a stack of seltzer bottles. The tide turns. Cream Puff attacks without mercy, emptying bottle after bottle. Kapoor slips and slides, trying to run the cover. Now he's tripped over a box of miniature smoke bombs, picks up the entire box, dumps a bomb onto the floor. Smoke fills the room. Kapoor would have made his escape out the door, except he runs into Cream Puff's big, hairy chest. Cream Puff wraps his arms around Kapoor. The little rat slips beneath and scampers back into the smoke.
Where are you? I'm gonna squish you!
As the smoke clears, there stands Kapoor, armed with a bucket full of confetti.
Oh, I see. You're gonna shower me with confetti.
Come and see.
All right. Now let's see what you can do with a bucket of confetti. Give me your best shot.
Okay. He didn't know that there were bricks in with the confetti.
The next day, Ruby returned with quite a suntan, by the way.
Taru brought me up to date. He told me about Angel.
Yes, the giant molars of the big boo chomped her up.
Huh.
Ruby, how can you be so cruel?
After what she put me through, ha! And ha! But when Taru told me about Su Fu, I felt a little sorry for him.
Su Fu was the first real woman I ever loved, Ruby.
I didn't have the heart to point out that Su Fu wasn't a real woman. She was an Alubu, a pear-shape with a pointed head. Well, at least she wasn't some plastic android, some Barbie bimbo. At least he fell for something alive, and cute, and with 4 feet. And finally we get to Kapoor. God, I hate to admit it, but he almost solved this case by himself. For once, his sneakiness paid off.
You should thank him, Ruby.
You want me to give him a pat on the head?
He'd like that.
Do you still have that stick?
No, be nice, Ruby.
So I complimented Kapoor. I thanked him. He was so grateful I thought he was going to pee his pants. He settled for just slobbering all over me.
See, I am helpful, aye, Ruby. Aye. Yes, Ruby. Say yes. Ruby, say yes, Kapoor.
Down, okay?
Helpful.
Good boy.
Yes.
Down. Kapoor did break the case. He nailed Cream Puff the Clown. But he didn't catch the real villain. That was my privilege.
And so Ruby pays a little visit to an old acquaintance.
Hello, Oop.
Ruby!
Sit down, Oop.
Oop. My, you have a nice suntan. Were you on holiday?
You thought I'd finger the members of the Illusionati, didn't you?
But isn't that why you were hired? Did you...
I said sit, Oop.
Oop. I mean, oop.
Yeah, and once you knew who the Illusionati were, you'd knock them off and replace them with biofleshies, right?
That is impossible. Any Ilubu would know it was a doppelganger.
Not immediately, not until it was too late. Interesting you use that word, doppelganger. Her angelness used it. She was working for you, wasn't she?
As you are, Ruby. You were hired to find the Illusionati.
The Illusionati are trying to keep humans from taking over this planet by turning it into another marketplace to dump their junk.
But the Ilubu are beyond human manipulation, Ruby.
Yeah, but not if your media contains a virus that can subliminally worm its way into your desires, so your people will begin looking for their identity in products, so they'll become slaves to the consumer illusions that humans have been suckered into.
Do you have such viruses in your media, Ruby?
When you're born unconscious and die unconscious, you don't need a virus. What were you going to get out of this, Oop?
What could I possibly want? I'm rich.
I spoke to your mother.
My mama?
Yes, your mama.
How dare you?
Sit. You're a little mama's boy, aren't you?
She told you that?
You were a bored little rich brat.
Rich, yes. Brat, maybe. Bored, never.
But you were never liked.
I can buy whatever I want, Ruby.
Not on a Lubuwa. You can't buy your own people. That's the difference between us. Humans always have their price. They're always bowing to the rich and powerful. But the Ilubus understand the illusion of wealth. Illusionism is your religion. You're taught from birth to see what an illusion life is. But you, Oop, you wanted to be somebody.
I am somebody.
You wanted to run the show, be a little emperor, right?
Ridiculous.
You set me up, Oop.
Oop.
Oop, you had me believing the Illusionati were behind this.
But the Illusionati do exist.
Yeah, you're right about that. And they're trying to protect this planet from the illusions that we humans were about to infect it with.
Human penetration is inevitable.
Not for the Ilubu. Not unless your media is contaminated with a virus that worms into your desires and breeds there.
But you will never prove I was involved, Ruby.
We have your accomplice.
What?
Cream Puff.
Who?
The clown.
Cream Puff!
I didn't think he was that funny.
Cream Puff the clown!
He was part of the digital circus. He passed himself off as a hacker who could clown around. No one knew he was a corporate-trained assassin.
Oh, dear me.
He named names. He even told us how you did it. You're going to be sliced and diced, Oop.
Boop.
Yeah, boop.
What do you want?
I want to be paid.
Is that all?
No.
What if I offer you twice the agreed amount, Ruby?
But Oop, I'm not the only one who knows about this. There's Taru and Kapoor and Andor.
Oh, yes, of course. I'll see they're taken care of.
Yeah, like you took care of your own people, the ones you murdered.
I murdered no one, Ruby.
You gonna pay off their families?
Is that necessary?
You know, Oop, you're a real jerk. Put on your shoes, all four of them. We're going for a walk.
I am going nowhere.
Okay.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna shoot your feet off one by one.
You can't do that.
Aw, come on. You got 4. You only need 1 or 2, right? Ah, shoot, I missed. Well...
All right. I'm putting my shoes on.
And so, now that our story has peaked, let's wind it on down.
Well, you did okay, Kapoor.
Yes, I did. And so did you too, Taru.
True. You know, I'm getting the itch to travel again.
But we just arrived on this planet. Now you want to go jump back into hyperspace?
No, I was just thinking of going down to the Dune docks and book a passage on one of the ships and sail off to the desert of the kingdom of far-flung Farouk?
Can I come too?
Of course you can, my good friend.
I'm your good friend?
You are, and in fact, you're my very best friend.
Oh, but what about Ruby?
Well, she's my other best friend.
If we go to far-flung Farouk, is she coming too?
Yeah, Ruby needs a vacation.
And Andor, will he come?
Why not?
When are they leaving?
Not today.
Oh.
Maybe tomorrow.
Will this be called Ruby 7?
Maybe just 6.1.
Ruby 6.1?
Maybe. We'll see.
Oh. Okay.
And this is it. End of story. I don't think Teru ever got over the loss of Su Fu. It was the first time in his life he had a healthy relationship with a real woman. Except, of course, she wasn't human. She was a cute little 4-footed, pear-shaped female from Ilubuwa, but for Teru, it was a start.
Thanks for watching.